welcome back to the iMaxit slash WeMaxit YouTube channels. If you're new, please do smash that like button, share, and definitely subscribe. Me and my co-hosts here, Africans, doing part 2 of the Concacaf Best Player Award. So we're here with the female side, which it was exciting. All right, so we're here to just chop it up and give you the listing of players. So I'm going to go to my co-host before we go over to the names. So make sure to smash that like button, leave your thoughts in the comment section, any one of the points that you think that we are not correct on, or even if you are correct, you give me some comments. We need those comments. So Africans, what say you, big brother, on this conversation?
It was a very good year for women's football in CONCACAF. I mean, I know we're in 2023. We have 6 teams going to the Women's World Cup later this summer. And I think that is amazing for this region. They're catching up. I think the middle class is definitely starting to move up. We need a few player teams to step up, but great year for women's football, both on the youth level and the region, as well as the national team level on the women's side. So, but we can only talk about one player of the year. So you got the names up here. Let's talk about some names and let's talk about it.
I would agree. I think it was an amazing year for ladies football. We have watched every single version, under 15, 17, 20, a million, everything. We have done it. Yes. Amazing. So anyways, some of the names that we're going to go with. You have Alicia from Mexico. What say you, Africans and Mexico, and Alicia Cervantes from Mexico? What say you about her? Would you are there in this list as one of the favorites or not?
So to be honest, the Mexican League is a league I've started to watch a little bit more, primarily because we have a former Canadian women's player who's coaching there, Carmelito Moscato, who's coaching at Tigres. So I've been watching that team, and because of that, I've been watching a little bit more. So to see Alicia Cervantes in here, I can see why they'd want it. She had about 3 or 4 goals during qualifiers for Mexico. Playing right now at Guadalajara, has been looking very good. And I think as a solid defender, solid player who's looking well, the one unfortunate downside is when the lights were bright, when we talk about CONCACAF W, Mexico wasn't able to perform, unfortunately. And that's now the second time that they've had a Olympic / World Cup qualifier where they just aren't able to perform in that region, in that moment. So I think it's more of a question for Mexico overall and not her as a player. But I think solid year for her, good representation. There's definitely some nice young Mexican players on their way up for this year. I don't have an issue with her being here. But again, I say this not being a hardened watcher of Liga Mexi Fem. I've only just started watching it, but from what I've seen from her, solid defensive player, I can see why she would be on this list. But yeah, no problem with her included here.
Okay, all right. I would say similar to say that Mexico did everything what they had to do coming in to the actual main qualifiers, but after the lights were actually bright in their actual own backyard, they never really stood out at all. To a certain extent, the best game they played was actually the United States game, which would have actually been the hardest game on the roster. So I don't know. It was very, very tough and disappointing for them. So I could see her on the list, but definitely if you feel on the bright stage there, we have to really deduct some points. That's just the norm. Obviously, that I'm always going in favor of the Mexicans, and because that's the amount of times I went in favor of the Mexicans, they start calling me Mexican JD. All right, so that tells you. Yes, but anyways, let me know in the comment section, guys, what you would say about Alicia Cervantes, Mexico. So we move on to Melchie Dumornay, Olympique Lyonnais, transferred from Stade de Reims. What say you? Because we have time for this. We have time for this.
We don't have time. We can talk. We can talk for minutes. We could talk about, because Corventina, as they call her in Haiti sometimes, I think she was a player that, I mean, we were there when Haitians would tell us Oh, we don't even have our best player. She's out. No, you'll see her soon. And we're like, okay, we'll see her soon. And then we saw her, and we are like, okay,
Yeah.
this makes sense. And then when you do the research, I think for her, winning the Young Player Award at CONCACAF W was one thing. Watching her and that Haiti team just, I mean, I always bring this up. They scored 20 goals for fun. Like, because they could.
Exciting, you know?
On a pitch that wasn't good, they said 20 for you. Like, not a
40
bucket of
plus
chicken,
goals.
JD. Not a bucket of chicken, not
40
a 20
plus.
piece.
Oh my
Just
God.
giving it just. But she definitely represents something in this region that I think is definitely untapped. And for Haiti and other countries are players who have the talent, but now it's about putting it together and getting the right infrastructure out. But the year that she had at Stade de Reims, again, now she's going on to Lyon after this year, but she is definitely the name. We've said this before on this channel. I will continue to say this. She's a name that we will be talking about in the conversation of best player in this region over the next 5 to 10 years. And we haven't seen the best version of her yet. And she's already in this conversation of best player in this region. That's the scary thing. That is very, and for Haiti, that's exciting. For the teams in the middle class of CONCACAF, now that's another team. You already have players like Khadija Shaw for Jamaica, who's right now starting to maximize the potential that a lot of Jamaicans saw that she had. But a player like Dumornay, she's just starting to scratch the surface, and her year really put Haiti on the map this year. And for something like that, getting them to the World Cup, I know it was in 2023, but still helping her team qualify for the World Cup. She had a good showing at CONCACAF W. She had a good showing for club. And now for club and country, she's being rewarded. Excellent year from Melchie Dumornay.
I would start just the same as you. This kid has no boundary at all. She breaks every single boundary. You know, wicked player, man. She's insane with her speed and dribbling ability. Constant threat, stamina level through the roof. You know, yes, man. So what she did for Stade de Reims is impressive as well, because she always never dropped out of the 1 in 2 range of goals or assists in a season. So that was still impressive. And also the qualifiers, the first set of qualifiers before the group of death. She was one of the standout players. She was playing from pretty much like a defensive role from certain times, running straight into the goal, scoring goals. It was insane. But obviously, you talked about the 20 goals and those scoring. So she had to make the scoring sheet. If you're scoring 20 goals, no way you're scoring 20 goals to 80 and she ain't having 1 or 2 out of those 20. You know, yes. So definite talent, man. You know, and obviously we talked about what she did coming in. She had actually improved leaps and bounds to get 80 over the line just a while ago when we watched her for the final qualification. And it, as you said, I have to repeat what you said. Amazing that we have so much talented players from this region that can actually talked about in the entire world's ladies of football. You understand me? And we have to give this girl even more credit. When they are up against it, she was still the best players. She was still one of the best players on the field. Because even in the Jamaica game, I am being a Jamaican, and other Jamaicans told me that they lost the game 4-0 to Jamaica, but obviously it was not a 4-0 looking game because they created chances of the chances, but she was still one of the best players on the pitch. Like, if she was not the best player on the pitch, same way losing 4-0, she was second best player on the pitch. So that's amazing. And we're going to talk about our next player that was on the pitch as well, which is Khadija Shaw, which is definitely a talent, super talent, and maximizing her potential. I want to talk about her soon. But it just goes to show, man, this girl, she has a long way ahead of her because she's very young and she is already peaking for the CONCACAF category so far. So I don't know what ceiling she truly have, you know. So amazing, man. And I would not be surprised if people voted her as the best player in this one. And if she win it, I would not be surprised either, because she made the listing just playing 3 matches out of the actual qualifiers in the end. Remember, they got knocked out because they came third, but they went straight to the extra qualification. All right, so that's how dominant she was in the actual first set of qualification. So I am impressed with her. Loads. I have time for her, man. Yes. So let me move on straight to Jessie Fleming's Canada and Chelsea, England.
Look, this year, if you didn't know, the engine of the Canadian women's national team is Jessie Fleming.
Yes.
She is the engine, and I know you do this a lot because you have junior Flemings, but it's no S for Jessie. No S. Jeffrey has no S. I hear you. But no, I think Jessie had a great year for Chelsea. FA Cup win, qualified for the World Cup, going to battle to qualify for the Olympics later this year. 13 goals overall this year, 5 for country, 8 for club. This was her year that she really performed well. And I think it caught a few people interestingly surprised when at the beginning of the year, Arnold Clark Cup, she has the armband for that tournament. Sinclair's not there. And again, Canada has names that you know, right? Whether it's a Sinclair, whether it's a Haidema as a name, you know, emerging names like Rosso, old names like Desiree Scott, Sophie Schmidt. The engine for this team is Jessie Fleming. They go as well as she goes because she dictates the pace. And we saw that at the beginning of this year where teams just decided that's the player we need to hamper to make sure that we can actually have some flow to this game. The fouls that she took and she still got up and kept playing. Fleming, to me, was the best player overall from start to finish this year. There are some promising ones coming up. Don't get me. Julia Grosso is knocking on the door saying, I'm about to arrive here. But last year, it was Jessie Fleming and Jessie Fleming alone. So having her here makes us a very difficult choice for who I'm going to choose for player of the year on the women's side. But I think she is the engine for Canada, and she did it both at club and on the country.
Agreed. She was amazing for club and also country. So she's definitely up there in the top bracket, because if you look at her, for others that plays in the big leagues, she was one of them that getting game time on a much more regular basis and delivering at that time in the 2022 season. And she did replicated it in the championship. So she was definitely one of those individuals that you're looking out for. So I don't have to say much. She's up there, and I expect her to rival. This sets of ladies is going to be tough, because I saw 3, 4, 5 ladies that deserves to win this thing. I don't know who will be winning this thing, but I know who I'm voting for, and I am not telling you guys.
I agree. Yes. I don't know who's winning, but I know who I'm voting for.
All right. So Alex Morgan, USA, San Diego Waves, FC United States. What say you about the legend?
And that's the thing. She's the legend here. She's the name that we all know. She's the name that's been there for a while. It feels like you've watched her from when she was the protege, where she was the phenom. Now she's the legend. It's like, wait, it was her and Abby Wambach, but now Wambach's gone and she's the Wambach. And now she's got like the Swansons, the Pews, the Rodmans, all those players coming after her. But great year for club for her. 15 goals for San Diego in the NWSL. Only 4 goals for country. And I think her utilization definitely, you saw that. You saw a bit of a transition, I think, on the national team level, which is where I don't want to call her. In the previous video, we looked at players like Pulisic and Davies as more name recognition than actual body of work. I think at the club level, she definitely has the body of work. On the national team level, she's still a presence, but I'm not sure she had the totality to really be considered. She's probably more middle of the pack. She's probably like 3rd or 4th for me on this list. overall, because she just had a good club year. But on the national team level, I don't think she had the year that others did have. I know it's 4 goals, and then again comparing her to a player like Jessie Fleming, who had 5 versus 4. But I still feel that she was a lot more impactful on the pitch, Fleming was, than a player like Alex Morgan was. That's to take nothing away from her as a player. Had a solid year, but I think in the greater scheme, I think her body of work this year is more club lenient than national team, and I think that puts her in a conversation. But I don't know if that puts her in the conversation. What about you,
All
JD?
right, fair enough, fair enough. I like what she did. She offered more than
Mm-hmm.
just goals, runs, even especially against Edie. Took her away from draw away from the pack, and Pew and those girls really exploited the runs off her. So it's not just our goals scoring. I thought that she brought a lot more to the game, you know. But obviously these are going to be, and look at it, Melchie Dumornay, it was not based off goals only. It was
Mm-hmm.
based off what she did, or impactful she was towards driving the team forward, linking up play with Bathsheba, Louis, and those girls to make it more important, and that's why she made the actual team of the tournament. You understand me? Because of what she did. So we can't give Melchie Dumornay that advantage, but yet still take that away from Alex Morgan. So I think even though you said she had
Yeah.
4 goals at the time, I still believe that she was more integral, and I might think she might come up a little bit more closer to the pack. But I would agree with you that the others would have been
Mm-hmm.
further ahead of her, because even if you look at the same thing of how integral she is towards linking up the play, well, Melchie Dumornay started the play and ended the play to link it up right at the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So she did more than her in that linking up edge. So that's the way I think people would say that, oh yes, one is definitely doing more than one. So I could see where she got pushed aside. And when Melchie Dumornay had the earlier tournaments to perform, she was dominating. So that in itself helps our cause overall in the 2022 period. So I totally understand what you're saying now. So we have to talk about the mighty, big, fast. No, not fast, but big
Don't
and
say big, fast,
strong.
and strong, JD. Don't do
No,
it.
big and strong. My country lady, Miss Khadija Shaw. All right, what see you? What level you think that she's gonna take this award? People, what say you? She's taking this award? Let me know in the comment section.
Here's the funny thing with Khadija Shaw is this. If you go by just listening to some of the discourse around her last year,
Mm-hmm.
especially on the club level, if you talk to people who are like, what is she doing? You would think, oh, she's had a terrible year. She's barely seeing the pitch and she needs to move. Look at the stats from last year. She had 15 goals last year. 21-22, she
Mm-hmm.
had 15 goals. And she did that
Yes.
in bit part starting. And I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
was more of an Ellen White problem than a Bunny Shaw and Man City problem. But then again, how many Man City players on the women's side do you know who just don't get regular playing time like they should have? I mean, Janine Becky was one, Shaw until recently was another. On the national team level, you know what she is to this program, JD. I don't need to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Facts,
things
facts.
run through her, and it's a question of, to use a terrible analogy, she's a LeBron type player, and now she needs help on the national team. What players are going to get up to her level so that it's not just run everything through her and expect her to do everything? What she had, like 11, 13 goals this year for country, and a lot of what she did ran through her, and that's great. And on the club level, you would think it was not good. She quietly had a solid season, top to bottom. She, like, if we're gonna compare it to the men's, she was like a Tyler Adams who produced, right? Consistent what you
Yes,
were
yes,
getting with
yes.
them throughout the year, but she actually has the goal numbers to show for it. And you're like, oh, she actually wasn't as bad as people talk like she played. She played well, but this year now we're seeing Bunny Shaw starting to be fully unleashed, and we're saying, okay, that's interesting. But if you compare that to last year, you can see the difference with it. But the discourse, I think that's a player who, if you look at the numbers, you'd say she had a good year. She deserves to be maybe top 3, top 2 in this conversation. If you
Yeah,
listen to
well,
the
well, well,
discourse,
well, 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 well. You will learn where she will be. Top 3, top 2, or top
no, we will, we
1?
will.
Top 1 or top
JD.
2? Okay. For me,
Yeah. But
sensational.
yeah, go on.
For me, sensational girl, man. She had limited time, delivered from Manchester City, as you alluded to. Ellen White had the start, and definitely she was a legend to the game. So they wanted to give her a farewell send off, where she got her sent off, and you realize what happened after the monster rolled out and dominated the sheet, and she's now the leading goal scorer in history for City. So it clearly tells you once she get the opportunity, she showed a glimpse of what she could have actually done. And when she got the full time, she showed exactly what she's coming to do. So with all of that said, I truly believe that she should be up there, if not first, second for this award, because definitely she was the driver for the Jamaican bus. All right, everything goes through through she in terms of build up. Surprising, I thought, because I don't see her as the strongest build up personnel, but she still did it for Jamaica and come off clutch majority of the time. She was second to Borgella in the goal scoring overall package, right? Because Borgella scored like 16 million goals. It was very easy to score 16 million goals when the team scoring 15 billion goals in some games. Yeah, but reality, she was scoring a lot of goals coming into this one, and she continued in those big moments. In the Mexico game, that was a clutch goal. You understand me? Yes. So I think
Yes.
she's up there. Yeah, top 1, top 2, minimum. You understand me? Yes, I can't say much about her. I want to do a complete video about her, because she's definitely a talent that I had respect over the years, but we have to talk football and be objective. So that's why I've always make sure I only talk on what she did. But beautiful, beautiful player. And final one is Sophia Smith, United States, Portland, Thorns FC, United States as well. Well, I think she take up the award, or she...
Arguably the best player in the NWSL, arguably the best player on the USWNT. I mean, what hasn't she done this year? MVP, done it. Finals MVP at the at NWSL, done it. Scoring goals for country, done it. Performing on the big stage, done it. I know every question for this player, she has answered the bell. And truthfully, it's a player that you see and you're like, oh, she's emerging. And I feel like this is how I feel with like the women's program in the States, where it's every time you think there's one solid player, it's like, oh no, there's 3 more coming. You're like, oh, Sophia Smith is here. Oh, cool. Mallory Swanson is still performing. Okay, cool. Trinity Rodman's getting her legs under her. Her too. The Thompsons are coming. Wait, there's more. But for last year, from top to bottom, Sophia Smith, arguably the best player in the NWSL, arguably the best player for the USWNT. I think I don't have to say any more than that.
I think she was the best player for the tournament as well. We have to put that in it as well. So everything that she did, she's a model professional. She's not the skill star. The skill star what you're going to see like Dumornay, or the super striker as Khadija Shaw, but she's a bit of both that does everything with an analytical background. Because remember, both of those players, they will take shots that you will question about. One will take dribbles that you will question about. She would do all of those things and do it correct. But the next
Mhm.
ones look completely differently, flashier than ours. So you give them more credit for what they do, but she does the same thing and do it much more simpler. And to be honest, she has been effective doing this thing. And she is not just in the region. I think she's one of the world's best player as
Mhm.
well. So we have to put some respect on her name. But this is going to be a tough list because remember, this is an individual
Mhm.
list. All right. So the flashy Dumornay dribbling down the wings
Mhm.
centrally and even in space. Then you have Khadija Shaw scoring from space as well.
Yes.
Jessie Fleming's talented player. Who are you guys going for? Africans. Noticeable absentees. Let we touch
That's
that
what.
before we ask you anything because I have a lot of absentees.
You could have definitely. I think you could have put Mallory Swanson, Nay Pugh. So Mallory Pugh, but now Mallory Swanson. You could have had her in this conversation, no doubt. Let me think. Let me think. Canada. Who else would I put? I think a player like Julia Grosso. Like I think Grosso is coming. Like I think this year, I think the World Cup, we saw pieces of it at the Olympics, but I think Julia Grosso is a player at the World Cup where she's going to flash, and people are going to be like, oh, okay. There was talk of her moving to the WSL over the transfer in January, but she didn't move from Juve, and that's not. We didn't go unnoticed there. We noticed that, and I think at the World Cup, we're going to see her really take a good step there. But I think Swanson is a good shout. Pugh is a good shout. For Canada, I said Swanson and Pugh. Grosso. Uh, Kaylin Sheridan, the goalkeeper for Canada,
Mm-hmm.
should be in the conversation for best goalkeeper in the world. I think she should have had a shout here. Most definitely. Canada is solid defensively, but a lot of that relies on if you do slip up, having a keeper who you can consider top, a great keeper for the women's side to clean up some of those misses. So Kayleen Sheridan, I think, should have been on this list. Over who, unfortunately, that's a tough question because I think everyone here is deserving to be here. Um, I mean, because I'm not familiar, I might say maybe Alicia Cervantes shouldn't be there, but again, I'm not as familiar with her, so it's unfair to me to say she shouldn't be there because I haven't seen the player enough. But I think Sheridan, Grosso, and then Swanson slash Pugh. I think those would be my three who I would say deserve shouts to be in this conversation. What about you, JD?
For me, I went for three. Pew should have been there. I would have taken out Alicia and put her there. To be honest, no disrespect to Alicia, but I think she would have given the rest of the party good conversation. Borgela, I don't know how she never reached there. Borgela should have been there. She's a solid forward for our club and also a deadly forward for the Asian team. Deadly forward. She brought them straight there as well. So you don't have Borgela with without Bourgeois, you don't have Dumornay because when Dumornay create those chances, she's the one finishing it off majority of the time. Obviously, you have others that they do very well, but she's definitely out there. She was the
Yeah.
leading goal scorer coming into the tournament, so I'm surprised that she never got them there. She had 2 goals, as you could see there, in the qualifiers to send them to the World Cup as well. So she kept it consistent straight through. And then Sheridan from Canada, definitely, I thought that she could have been on the list as well. So those are my three, and I think all of my three are very clear absentees that could have filled one of these spots. So Africans, are you leaving this to the people to decide? Because I'm not going to call my vote, I will wait until what I do
Oh,
see
I'll tell
what
you who I
people
voted
say.
for.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I vote like I made my vote. I voted for Dumornay here. I voted for Dumornay here, but going through this now, if
Mm-hmm.
my list would be one Sophia Smith,
Okay,
two Dumornay.
okay.
No, I don't care. I'm not afraid. I'll be back on this channel. You're not going to ban me. Three Fleming, 3 and 4, you can interswap them. Fleming or Shaw, you can put them either or. To me, 3 or 4, you can either put Fleming or Shaw, to me. And then Morgan and then Cervantes. Nothing against Morgan. I think Morgan had a solid to great club year, but national team I wasn't as there. Again, forward, and that's a tough call because for a forward, it's reliant a lot on the service you get. When it comes to a midfielder, you can dictate more of how the game is played, and Fleming was able to do that more. Shaw, again, same thing, which is why I'm like, between those two, I'm fine. But for me, my top 2 are Sophia Smith and then Melchie Dumornay.
Okay, all right, people. For me, I went a little bit different. I talked about the monster finisher, Khadija Shaw, and the speedster dribbler. I think those are the 2 that take to the spot. But be realistic. Jessie Fleming, Melchie Dumornay, Khadija Shaw, Sophia Smith, they're all super talent in that team here. But I just preferred those 2 as my top 2. Sophia, as I said, she do all of those things smooth, but I like the rugged edge a little bit, and those 2 quality Caribbean girls showed me what I want to vote for. But I will pause and what I'm going to vote for. So the fans decide what we are going to vote for. So guys, smash the like button, share, and definitely subscribe to my channel. And also Mr. Africans that's fighting against my Jamaican people. Yes. So big up. Take care and one love.
JD, this is the WeMaxit channel. This is not the iMaxit channel. This is the WeMaxit channel. International, okay?
Okay, people. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.